Hello and welcome to day 6 of financial empowerment. We have covered a lot over the past 6 days. We started off day 1 talking about financial behaviors, day 2 talking about where do you stand today financially. Then we began to talk about your expenses and expense allocation and what the rule of thumb is for your expenses, the 70-30 rule. And then we talked about your determining and calculating your net worth. And then we got into the meat of the empowerment, your spending plan and your SMART goals. And so today, what I'd like to do is to give you some tips and some tools that will help you to stay on track with your spending plan. Now, when we talked about the spending plan, I talked about having a bill payment calendar. This calendar is going to help you be able to pay your bills on time. So every week on the calendar, you would list what income you have coming in for that week and then the bills that you have to pay for that week. So if you find that you have more bills than money, then you can adjust accordingly and say, okay, my bills are adding up to $600, but I only have $500 in income coming in this week. Where am I going to get that additional $100? And this is going to avoid you paying any NSF fees, because we do not have an NSF fee as a line item on your spending plan. But as long as you know ahead of time, because you've paid attention and you're looking that you only have $500 coming in, but you've got $600 worth of bills, you're going to be creative in terms of how you're going to get that other 100. Maybe it's taking some of it from your grocery allowance that week, or not eating out that week, and so you'll make the adjustments so that you'll have enough to cover for those bills. And so another thing that I talked about is making sure that you're paying those bills on time. And so if you only get paid twice a month, the 15th and the 30th, and you have a bill that's due on the 27th, that bill is going to be paid with the check that you get on the 15th. Now, a calendar is very useful for bill payment, but once you get the hang of this and once you really begin to save your money and you begin to have a reserve, you won't be paying your bills from paycheck to paycheck. You'll have enough reserve that you'll just be able to pay a bill when it's due. But until we get to that point, this particular tool, the bill payment calendar, will help you stay on track. I have a sample of one in your workbook on page 18, and then I have a blank one on page 24 that you can use. But you can create this particular calendar from Word. I will also make it available on my website at debtnotallowed.com. You'll be able to download it as well, okay? And then that way you can do that for every month. You want to set the calendar up for every month that you have to pay your bills, okay? So that's one tool that'll help you stay on track. And then we also talked about a debt repayment plan. So on page 19 of your workbook, I've given you a sample of what a debt repayment plan looks like. And you can see on this one that it's for a credit card, and it had a balance of $513. And so it shows you what the minimum payment is and then what the snowball payment is. Remember, we talked about having a snowball payment as part of your spending plan. So in this particular example, the person's total payment now is going to be $60. And if they continue on with that, it's going to take them, the debt started, and they started their debt repayment plan in November of 2017. They'll have it paid off by July of 2018, okay? And so then what I did is you have a second example of one with a higher balance on page 20. that shows you what it looks like when you have a higher balance and how long it would take you to pay that off. So look at those examples. And then what I've also given you on page 21 is one for you to track yourself. Now this is on paper, and you can do it here on paper, but you can also do it on computer. And I will also make the sheet available for you on my website, debtnotallowed.com. You'll be able to download the worksheet. Okay, so this is another helpful tool to help you stay on track for your debt repayment plan. Okay? And then we talked about SMART goals, which are also part of your spending plan. That is a line item. Some of the SMART goals that you set for yourself are part of your spending plan. So we have a sample here of one completed. And then I also have given you on page 23 a sheet where you can record all of your SMART goals. Again, this is another document that will be available on the website. Okay, so that is another helpful tool that you can check off as you meet those goals. You'll be able to check those off. Okay, and then I like to give you some tips that you can do for helping you to cut down cost in your spending plan. So I want you to go back and look at if you're a homeowner and you have homeowner's insurance. I want you to go back and look at that, and I want you to get some additional quotes to see if you can reduce what you're paying on your homeowner's insurance. Oftentimes, if you haven't had any claims or anything like that, you are in a very competitive position where you can shop around and see if you can get a better rate. And in most cases, when you tell your current carrier that you're going to switch to someone else, they're going to lower that cost down for you because they don't want to lose you as a customer. But as long as you go with the flow, and as they gradually increase, usually they'll go up 8 or 9% per year, which seems like a nominal amount. Maybe it's $18, $20, but over time that begins to add up. And if you haven't had any claims, then you want to put your carrier on notice that, hey, I don't want to pay these higher premiums when I can get it cheaper if I move on to someone else. And so you control your money. This is how you're taking authority over your money and how you want to spend it. The same thing with your car insurance, okay? Shop around, make sure you got the best rate that you can get. These are ways that you can reduce your costs that you have to pay on the monthly basis. And mind you, these are costs that, remember, we talked about variable cost and fixed cost. Expenses like car insurance and homeowners are actually part of your fixed costs, but these are ways that you can lower your fixed costs. You know, with your mortgages, refinancing them into a lower interest rate. That's a way to lower your mortgage payment, okay? So these are some things that you can do to help reduce your costs. Also, with your let's say, for instance, your grocery bill. A lot of people don't pay attention to this, but your grocery bills, when it comes down to needs and wants, I like to assign you a little exercise of looking at your grocery bill and seeing what were the actual needs and what were some of the wants on your grocery receipt. Cookies were probably a want. Chips were probably a want. That soda you purchased, you know, and so things like that. When you break it down like that, you can probably find an extra $50 in your grocery bill just from breaking it down into needs and wants with your groceries. Okay, so that's another tip that you can use to save money. Another tip that I like to give my clients is look at that cell phone bill. I can't tell you how many times I have found mistakes on my cell phone bill that I've had to call the carrier and say, why am I being charged for this? I didn't ask for this particular service with my phone. Can you please take that away? Look and see, look at the line items. They give you a detailed receipt. Make sure that everything on there are services that you want. Let me tell you a little trick bag that a lot of people get into. The insurance for the cell phone. Be very careful with the insurance for the cell phone. If you're going to get the insurance, I wouldn't carry it for more than a year. If you're a person like me, I keep my cell phone for multiple years. And so after a year, it is no longer useful, in my opinion, because of the deductible that you have to pay if something goes wrong with the phone. Because you've given them money, usually it's $7 to $10 that you're paying for this insurance, and you've paid that for an entire year. And then something happens with your phone, so you've already given them money for the insurance, then something happens with your phone, and then you have to pay this deductible, okay? And so when you really look at the cost involved, it's really not worth it to have the insurance for a phone that is more than a year old. So that is another saving. If you've had your phone for more than a year, get rid of that cell phone insurance off the phone. So these are just a few things that I like to go over with my clients and ways that you can look at your expenses and make some cuts. So I hope you found this series to be very useful. And what I'd like for you to do on day 7 is go back and reflect on everything that you've learned in this series. And I want you to write down your thoughts and how you feel, and review your SMART goals and your expenses and your net worth, and begin to kind of make some plans in terms of what areas you want to make some changes. How much do you want to increase your net worth? By what time do you want your net worth to be this? How are you going to get there? You know, things like that. And so use day 7 to be a day of reflection on your behaviors and being cognizant of your behaviors and things like that, and create situations that you've probably been in the past, and just play around and say, okay, now that I know what my behavior is, how am I going to handle this situation going forward? So I've enjoyed going over this material with you, and I hope that you find it useful, and I wish you success in your spending plan and your journey to creating wealth. And remember, debt is not in your DNA. For more information on DNA Financial Services, you can go to our website at debtnotallowed.com, and you can like us on Facebook at Debt Not Allowed, as well as on Twitter and Instagram.